Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of this design. It was done to be an upper arm tattoo going from towards the elbow towards the shoulder, and it was done in a fancier style, so I added a little bit of flair like swirly lines, thicker lines, some of that dotted extra circles around stuff, and overall just a little bit more flair and depth to the design. So let's go ahead and get to reading this. Above me there is a grid, and that grid shows the letters and how they're formed in this script. So there are different rows and there are different columns, and the different rows are the letter stems. And the very top row has a shape like this at the beginning of it. So at the side of it, there's this shape, and that starts everything in that row. And then in the row below it, there's a circle that is floating inside of our word circle. So something like these guys. So here's our word circle, and then those are all inside of that word circle. So that's for the second row. And then the third row is a shallow divot. So something like a bite taken out of a cookie. There's a lot of those around here. Shallow divots. And shallow divots can also be like super shallow, like this one here that links up to this bigger word over here. And then last but not least, there's a circle that crosses the line of our word circle. So see how this little guy is on the line of our word circle and crosses it? And this one crosses here, this one crosses here, so on and so forth. So those are the four different rows. And then the columns, they're made by adding dots, which there's 3 dots here and 3 dots here, 2 dots here, 2 dots here, 3 dots here. And dots are filled in to differentiate them from vowels. And then there are lines. Line modifiers, they can curve like this, they can be straight, and even these little guys, they count as little line modifiers here and here. What doesn't count is the word circle, so this is the word circle here, so these are not lines. This is a Y because it's got 2 dots, not an X with 2 lines on it. Similarly, here's the word circle here, crossing through. So the word circle doesn't count as line modifiers, but lines that end do count. So here's one line that ends there, another one that ends there, and this one is sneaky. It's a swirly one that ends in here. It doesn't pass through. Whereas lines that pass through letters, so like here's a letter with a line passing through it, this line doesn't count on this letter. In fact, this is a 3-dot letter. So those are the rows and the columns, and then to get the letters, you combine the rows and the columns. So this 3-dot floating circle is going to be in the 3-dot column and then in the floating circle row, and that lines up to be the letter L, where this has 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 dots, and it's the letter C, and this has 2 dots, so it's the letter K. So, yeah, and then vowels are these little guys. See how there's some little circles that look kind of like dots, but aren't filled in? Those are vowels, and they have different positions depending on what vowel they are, and if they're attached to a consonant or by themselves. So again, here's our word circle, unraveled here for this set of words, and this one is inside of our word circle, so it's the letter O. Whereas this one, well, it's still inside the word circle, it's attached to this letter, and it's centered in the center of that letter. An O attached would look more like this one, so this is an attached O, an unattached O. This is an A attached to this letter. This is an unattached A just by itself. And then E's are centered. Where's an E? Are there any E's in this? I don't think there's any E's. Have. There's an E and have. Well, there's E's that are unattached. So here's an E centered inside the K. Here's an E inside the M. But here's an E inside the V for have. But I don't have any E's by themselves to show you. And then I's have a line going inwards, like this one, and U's have a line going outwards. So in Lucky, there should be a U. Yeah, here's a U with a line going away from the center of our word circle, because this is the center of our word circle here. And if we're going up like this, then it'd be more towards the middle of our word circle. Or this is more towards the outside of our word circle. So that is how the script works. And you read starting at the bottom, and then you go counterclockwise, like a time traveler going back in time. So let's go ahead and read it. This first letter is a deep divot with 2 lines, so that's an H. And then our O is internal, and then a W is a shallow divot with 2 lines, so H, O, W. So how is this first word. And all this stuff around the outside is basically sentence circle and extra decorative bits. So this junk here, these 3 lines are all kind of decorative, and our word circle starts here. Well, it's the sentence circle, it's not entirely decorative, but yeah. Our first letter is this circle, and it's got 3 dots, so that's the L. And then our U with our line going outwards, a C with 4 dots, a K with 2 dots, and then a Y with 2 dots, and a Y crosses. The other ones are all floating. And then here's our next word. And inside this sentence circle, there's a word circle. And then on that word circle, there's a vowel circle. And this vowel has a line going inwards towards the center of the word circle. So that's an I. So that whole word is I. And then this word circle here, it has our A on the outside of this word circle. And then 1, 2, 3 lines. We talked about that sneaky line on the M. So that's our word am. And then we have a T, a shallow divot with no modifiers, O on it. H has these lines here. Now, I say these lines because if we look at this line here, right, it's basically a line like this combined with a line like this, right? So it's 2 line modifiers because it ends twice, even though it curves around and ends in the same letter. So that's the H, A, 1 line on the V, and then the E is centered. 1, 2, 3 lines on the S. I did that same little trick there. O inside the word circle. 1, 2, 3 lines on the M. E centered. A TH has no lines or dots, and then this I line goes inwards. And then 1, 2, 3 lines on the NG. So there we have SOMETHING. And again, the NG and TH are one letter written as, one written as one letter, but are 2 letters. Here's another TH. A outside our word circle, and a shallow divot T. So there's no modifiers in this whole word. 1, 2, 3 lines on the M. A outside our word circle. This looks like it doesn't have anything, but we gotta look out here to see that these 2 dots need a home. They'll go here with that word. So that's 2 dots on a K. E, S, so M-A-K-E-S is makes. S-A-Y with 2 dots on it. I line going inwards. 1, 2, 3 lines on the NG. So to have something that makes saying is what it says around this outer circle here. And then this word, we start with this deep divot horseshoe shape with 1 line, so that's a G. And then we have 2 O's. Their position is kind of ambiguous with each other because they're kind of in the same line on this circle, though this one's a little bit closer in here. But that doesn't matter because it's just 2 O's. Doesn't matter the order, so ambiguous is fine with the order for those 2 O's. And then we have a D, deep divot with 3 dots, and then B, Y with 2 dots, and then our E at the end. So G-O-O-D, B-Y-E, so that's goodbye. And then this 1, 2, 3 lines on a shallow divot is an S-O, so that's the word so. H with 2 lines on it, A outside the word circle, R with 3 dots, and D with 3 dots, though an R is a shallow divot and D is a deep divot, so that's the difference between those 2. So altogether, this design translates out to how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. And in the emphasis of these words, I wanted to have goodbye the main word of this whole sentence. These have felt kind of like smaller words to have something that makes saying. It's like, what matters is the goodbye, and then that you're lucky, how lucky I am, goodbye so hard. So, how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Yeah, so that is that design. I am quite happy with it. I think it has lots going on that is making it, fancy, and I think it'll make a great tattoo for you. Thanks, bye.